I generally stay away from political and social type of topics on my channel. One reason is my channel is focused on sports, mainly the NFL and the NBA, and politics and sports usually have nothing to do with each other. They should have nothing to do with each other. Another reason I don't like talking politics is because a politician has never done a damn thing for me, and probably the same for you guys. So I usually pay very little attention to what's going on in the political world. Throughout this coronavirus pandemic, which has transformed from a health issue to a political issue, only in America can that happen. But throughout this pandemic, I have tried my best to keep my opinions about it to myself. I might have mentioned a couple of times on here about me not agreeing with shutting the country down. I didn't like it when the NBA postponed its season, which lit the fuse for the rest of the country to follow suit and shut down. It was like a domino effect. But I tried to keep my opinion to myself and not mention the COVID problem on my channel. Because like I said, sports and politics don't mix, or they shouldn't mix. We come to sports to get away from politics. Something I saw earlier this week, though, really aggravated me. It really pissed me off, to be honest with you. I almost uploaded a video about this Thursday or Friday. I've been going back and forth since then about whether or not I really wanted to talk about this. Honestly, I am tired of hearing about the coronavirus. I'm sure most of you guys are tired of hearing about it too. I think we have coronavirus fatigue in this country right now. We watch sports for an escape. That's why I keep saying sports and politics don't mix. But in 2020, it seems that politics have invaded our sports leagues more than at any other time in my lifetime. Now, half of you will probably agree with my points in this video. Half of you won't. That's just how it goes. But it's something I feel needs to be addressed. I feel like we are at a tipping point in this country in regards to these politicians inserting themselves into our sports leagues, whether it be the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, whatever sports league you want to talk about. I feel like we're in a tipping point with the politicians kind of inserting their power and influence into these sports leagues. And it's time for them to get the hell out of the way and let our sports leagues take charge and lead themselves. Earlier this week, Dr. Fauci came out. If you don't know who Dr. Fauci is, he's like the lead government doctor in D.C. He came out, I believe it was on CNN, one of those news networks, but I think it was CNN. And he had some interesting things to say about the upcoming NFL season. We haven't heard from Dr. Fauci in a while. At least I haven't. Maybe I haven't been paying attention. But it seemed like we were hearing from him every day. And we go from that to barely hearing from him at all recently. Anyway, here is what he had to say about the upcoming NFL season this fall. Quote, "Unless players are essentially in a bubble, insulated from the community, and they are tested nearly every day, it would be very hard to see how football is able to be played this fall. If there is a second wave, which is certainly a possibility, and which would be complicated by the predictable flu season, football may not happen this year." End quote. That statement had a lot of NFL fans in a panic that we were not going to have football this season. When I initially heard Dr. Fauci's comments, I was a little bit worried myself until I realized that he doesn't have any control over what Roger Goodell and the NFL decide to do. I don't understand why people continue to listen to Dr. Fauci. His response to this whole pandemic has been god-awful in my opinion. But people listen to him for some reason. I think less and less are, but there are still people out there that take his word as gospel. So it begs the question, are we going to have the NFL come September? First of all, who gave Dr. Fauci the authority to dictate when and where or if the NFL could start their season? I don't remember voting for Dr. Fauci. Do you? I don't remember voting for him. When did some government doctor get the authority to dictate when the NFL could or could not start? The last time I checked, the NFL was a private organization that's ran by Roger Goodell. I don't remember seeing Dr. Fauci's name on the board of directors or in some type of decision-making management position with the National Football League. The last I checked, we still lived in America, where private businesses can operate as they see fit. I don't know about you guys. This is just my opinion. But I feel like that we have been lied to about this coronavirus pandemic. Now, I'm not one of those people that believe the virus is a hoax. It's real. There's no doubt that it's real. But I feel like we've been lied to about the dangers of the coronavirus. Remember back in March when they made the decision to shut the entire country down? These so-called experts were predicting that this virus was going to kill between 1 and 2 million people in America alone within a few short months. We aren't even close to that number. Now these same experts, some of them anyway, are saying that the death rate could be as low as 0.02%. The main reason, though, that I feel like we've been lied to about this coronavirus is because we did not hear a fucking word about this virus the past 3 or 4 weeks while all these protests were going on. If while all of the protesting was happening, I was seeing the same people, the same experts, claiming that it was too dangerous for people to be protesting, just like it's too dangerous to attend sporting events, then maybe I would be more inclined to believe it. At least there was some consistency. At least they would be consistent. I'd actually respect their opinion. Instead, we didn't hear shit about it for 3 or 4 weeks. The reality of the situation is none of these doctors, none of these experts can agree on the potential impacts of COVID because they don't know. It's all speculation. They're just guessing. The NFL, the NBA, they can't run their businesses based off of speculation from government bureaucrats. They can't shut down their leagues because there is a possibility of a second wave. There's a possibility that you could get an STD tomorrow. That doesn't mean you stop having sex. It means you're more careful when you do. That's the approach that the NFL and the NBA are taking. They are being more careful than they were before. Just because there's a virus going around doesn't mean you shut down the damn NFL and NBA. The NFL doctors, they pretty much said the same thing in their statement in response to Dr. Fauci's comments. A couple of NFL doctors came out. And by the way, I trust these guys way more than I trust Dr. Fauci. They came out with their statements, and the way that I interpreted what they said was basically like this. Yeah, we are handling our leagues just fine. We're taking precautions. We know what we're doing. Why don't you just get the hell out of our way and let us do what we do best? Everything the government touches turns to shit. Name one government entity or program that is ran efficiently. Name one. The post office, terrible. Social programs, damn near every one of them is inefficient. The government, they took over student loans, I believe it was back in the 80s. It's been a disaster. College tuition has been doubled or tripled since then. They inserted themselves into mortgages back in the 90s. 10 years later, crashed the economy, and President Obama had to step in and clean up the whole mess. My point is, Dr. Fauci and the United States government have no business inserting themselves into the NFL and the NBA, or any other sports league for that matter. These leagues, they've got the real experts. They've got the real doctors. Doctors who are dealing with players on a daily basis. Just let them do their jobs. Dr. Fauci has been in the government for over 30 years. When is the last time that he has seen a patient? My guess would be over 30 years ago. Let me ask you this. When your car breaks down, say you have a brake problem or something like that, are you going to take it to a mechanic that works on cars every day, has been working on cars every day for the past 10, 20 years? Or are you going to take it to the neighbor down the street or a family friend that used to be a mechanic, but he's been retired for 10, 15, 20 years and hasn't worked on cars in that time? That's my point. The NFL and the NBA have the best doctors in the country. Let them do their jobs. The government and Dr. Fauci need to get the hell out of the way. I'm not saying Dr. Fauci is not a smart doctor. He's a whole lot smarter than I am. What I am saying is the government, and in this case, Dr. Fauci as a government doctor, should not be interfering in NFL business. Dr. Fauci's recommendation of having the NFL play a season in a bubble, kind of like the NBA's doing, just shows you how fucking clueless he really is when it comes to running a sports league. You've got about 1,700 players in the NFL. You gotta add coaching staffs, team doctors, trainers. We are talking about thousands of people. How in the fuck are you going to isolate that amount of people and play the NFL season in one, maybe two locations? It is the definition of impractical. It doesn't make any sense. The NFL season should be played as normal. The Saints should play in the Superdome. The Packers should play at Lambeau Field, so on and so forth. And fans should be allowed to be in attendance. But that puts people at risk of spreading the coronavirus. So fucking what? If you're not comfortable going to games, just don't go. It's as simple as that. Plus, the NFL can have fans sign waivers which would protect the league and the teams against any potential lawsuits. Here's what I don't understand. I don't want to get too deep into politics and social issues when I say this, but I really don't understand this. People have been rightfully protesting the injustice and police brutality in regards to George Floyd and the many other African American victims that have been murdered at the hands of the police. And I'm good with it. I'm good with the protest. Now, I would prefer they not be violent, but I like it when people protest against the government. I'm good with it. But what I don't understand, and I mentioned this a few minutes ago, throughout the past 3 or 4 weeks, we have not heard a peep about the coronavirus. Thousands of people are in the streets. They're not social distancing. And I hate that term, social distancing. It grates on my nerves almost as much as new normal. They're both talking points. Anyway, the protesters are packed together just like fans would be at a sporting event. So what is the difference between that and people attending a Major League Baseball game or an NBA game, NFL game? There is no difference. We just saw thousands of people last night at President Trump's rally. Thousands more were in the streets protesting the rally. But apparently, the coronavirus doesn't spread when people are protesting. It just goes dormant because I haven't heard anyone in the media mention the dangers of coronavirus during these protests. Now, to Dr. Fauci's credit, he has mentioned the potential spread of COVID during these protests, but very few people in the media did. Now that these protests have died down, suddenly COVID is the leading topic on the news every day. We can't have people attend NFL and NBA games. It's too dangerous. Look, the government cannot keep you safe. We cannot live the rest of our lives stuck inside of our homes because there is a virus going around. There is always going to be some kind of virus going around. So, are Adam Silver and Roger Goodell, are they supposed to just shut down the NFL and the NBA every time some new virus comes into the picture? It seems like we have a new virus emerge every 2-3 years or so. Do you see where I'm going here? It sets a dangerous precedent. I'll say it again. The government can't keep you safe. To answer the question I posed in the title of this video, will we have the NFL on the field this season? And the answer is a resounding yes. There's not a doubt in my mind that we will have NFL football this fall. They will kick off on schedule. I don't think there's going to be any delay. Now, as far as college football goes, I don't know. I think we will, but college football is a little bit more complicated because you're dealing with players that aren't getting paid. But that's a topic for another day. Now, why am I so confident that we are going to have NFL football this fall? One name. Roger Goodell. Love him or hate him. And I'm not a fan of Roger Goodell. But one thing I respect about him is he is not afraid to stand up and make a decision and stand by that decision. He does not tend to fold under political pressure. Basically, Roger Goodell does what the fuck he wants. Now, some people might claim that he folded under the pressure because he admitted that the NFL made a mistake and were wrong about the whole Colin Kaepernick kneeling for the national anthem, that whole situation. But I don't look at that as folding. I don't look at that as Roger Goodell folding. That, to me, is Roger Goodell admitting that he made a mistake. I respect him for that. To be honest with you, I don't think there's going to be a lot of pressure or resistance to starting the regular season in the NFL. The NFL is powerful. It is the most popular league in the country. The NBA is second, but it is not a close second. The NFL is 10 times as popular as the NBA. We love our football in this country. I think Roger Goodell would have more pressure if he canceled the regular season than he would if he just goes through with it as scheduled. I read an article in the Boston Globe the other day. I think it was about a month old, but they spoke to 7 disease specialists regarding the NFL season. All of them agreed that the NFL can make it through their regular season with frequent testing, quarantining if a player tests positive, just with some precautions in place. All of them agreed that the NFL would be fine. All of them also agreed that this bubble approach that Dr. Fauci is talking about is impractical. It is impossible. Now, are we going to have NFL players test positive? Of course we are. Some already have. One thing most doctors can agree on in regards to coronavirus is that the people who ultimately die from it usually have a previous medical condition. I had a friend who died from coronavirus a couple of months ago. Coronavirus was blamed for it anyway, but the reality is he had been sick for 8 to 10 years now. Did coronavirus hasten his death? Maybe, probably. But the truth is, he hadn't really lived in a long, long time. He died with coronavirus. I don't know if he died because of coronavirus. But in the case of players in the NFL and NBA, we are talking about professional athletes. Guys that are in pristine condition, excellent health. We've seen a number of athletes in both the NFL and the NBA get COVID. How many have died? 0. Most of them are asymptomatic. They don't feel bad at all. I realize that a lot of people in this country look at sports as non-essential, but I disagree. Now, I'm not saying that sports are the most important thing in the country. I'm not saying that at all. They're not more important than people's health. That's not what I'm saying. But sports are important to us as Americans. In a time where the country is seemingly divided, at least according to the media anyway, I think most of us agree on things more than disagree. But in a time where the country is supposedly divided, sports are something that can unite us. Sports have always united us when we're going through hard times in this country. After September 11th, both the NFL and Major League Baseball played an integral role in uniting the country and getting us back to a sense of normalcy. When we had the Great Recession 10 or 11 years ago, many people relied on sports as an escape from everyday life. During World War II, you had the Women's Baseball League that brought the country together. Remember that movie, A League of Their Own? That was loosely based on a true story. My point is, we need the NFL and the NBA to come back so we can get back to a sense of normalcy, so we can be reunited. This has been a tough year for a lot of people. From the pandemic to the unjustified murder of George Floyd and all the protesting that followed, the incident that happened a couple of weekends ago in Atlanta, the death of Kobe Bryant earlier this year, the divisiveness that we're seeing in our politics. 2020 has been a motherfucker. I could keep going with all the bad stuff that's happened this year. But one thing that's always united us is sports. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or Democrat, conservative or liberal. If you're a Saints fan in the Superdome and Drew Brees throws a touchdown pass to Michael Thomas, you are celebrating with the people next to you. You're not thinking of social distancing. You're not thinking of some election. You're celebrating with complete strangers with one thing in common: the New Orleans Saints. You don't care if they're Republican or Democrat, conservative or liberal. Doesn't fucking matter. We are going to have NFL football kick off this September. I think fans will be in attendance. Might not be 100% capacity, maybe 50, maybe 60, who knows? The reason I believe that, you're going to have political rallies this summer. You're going to have concerts this summer. We're already seeing large gatherings of people at beaches all over the country, parks all over the country. And while cases are spiking in some areas, most experts agree that's because of increased testing. Hospitals are not being overcrowded. Ventilators are readily available. That was the reason for the country to shut down to begin with. Remember, they came out and said that we had to shut down to make sure our healthcare system wasn't overcrowded. Well, that hasn't happened. You're going to have these political rallies this summer. Thousands of people are going to be in attendance. We just had one last night. And I don't think we're going to see any big-time ramifications from it when it comes to COVID. When that happens, if that happens, leagues like the NFL and the NBA will take notice and see that it's plausible to allow fans to attend games. Now, I don't think the NBA is going to allow fans to attend games down in Orlando this year, but I do believe the NFL is going to allow it. Sports may be deemed non-essential by some people, but the reality of it is, the NBA led the country in shutting down for the COVID pandemic. The announcement of the NBA shutdown started this domino effect of the entire country shutting down. It sent shockwaves throughout the country. The NBA was the first mainstream sports league in America to announce that they were coming back. They're returning. And I truly believe both the NFL and the NBA are going to lead the country in getting back to normal. All right, that's all for today. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for me. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Appreciate you guys that have already done so. Goes a long way in helping support the channel, so I really appreciate it. Leave me a comment in the section below. Do you think that we are going to have NFL football this season? As scheduled. They'll start on time. Will fans be allowed to attend games? Let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. If you have any questions for me, you can email them to BTLKC84@gmail.com. I will see you guys next time.